Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Adrian Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
I'll do this. I'm eclipsing myself.
It's Eclipse Day. I think Poku knew it was Eclipse Day because he eclipsed J. Will like he's never been eclipsed before in his life.
Yeah. How about that?
Goodness. What were your thoughts, feelings, emotions seeing that dunk?
I felt a strong disbelief emotion. And then after that, like come on, Poker, why tonight? And then, hey, it's nice that it's tonight so that I can actually watch it.
Yeah.
Him, Mitic, bombing, Bertans.
God, they were really good. The Thunder Hornets were really good yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, they were bombing threes. That's six. They hit 13 threes between the four of them. 13.
That's a nice number.
Yeah, you know how many the Thunder hit? They hit 18 as a team yesterday. And the four guys that they sent to the Hornets hit 13 on their own, which is just unbelievable. What an unbelievable thing.
Yeah. I mean, not that anyone believes that could have happened inside their OKC career. I mean, it's nice that they are doing it now. I mean, Mitic maybe a little bit more. Bertans can have, like, he had hot moments with OKC.
In Dallas, yeah.
In Dallas. So we do know what the revenge game is. And again, it's nice that it comes into a game like this where they actually had to play for the entire game in order to lose against OKC. It was not like a blowout. So I kind of like the atmosphere. I do think that if we want to talk about what we can get out of this game, OKC traded two guys that could create off the dribble. They have enough guys that can create off the dribble if you count Giddey, if you count maybe in the future Kazan, and Dub and Shea. When you don't have two, and Kazan is not really ready to do that with continuity, then you can say, yeah, sure, Mitic could have been great tonight, but how many other nights? So, I mean, to me, last night just showed OKC really needs ball handlers that can create advantages off the dribble to function at the high level, which, I mean, we knew that already. But they have enough. Like, it's not common to have two of your best players sitting out. So
it has not been common for the Thunder for sure, and it has not gone well whenever they have sat. Yeah. And I know some people were. I put out there like, listen, this is the last game of a 5-game road trip. It doesn't really matter who the team is. It was always going to be mentally difficult to win, no matter who played on either side. And it was really difficult. This game was not put away until that buzzer sounded. I mean, got to give credit to the Hornets, especially the Thunder Hornets. Grant Williams, I thought, played really well against OKC. You got to give them a lot of credit. And to the Thunder guys, too, especially Isaiah Joe. Man, Isaiah Joe was so clutch in that game and kind of made up for missing those threes against the Sixers, where he hit a three down the stretch, got a steal, and then got another three. And, like, that was the game. Like, that actually is the moment where you felt like, oh, my gosh, the Thunder are actually going to win this. Because there were a lot of moments before that you thought, oh, no. Like this, they have trouble manufacturing offense. This is really tough. You know, it just wasn't going to fall in the Thunder's favor. But getting those Isaiah Joe, like 6 quick points was like totally it.
Yeah, it was it. And I think that during the game, there was a moment where OKC had the game in their hands pretty firmly. Mm-hmm. And then they had multiple possessions where, I mean, the lack of Giddey on the court and to an extent Chet was really felt, at least by me. I mean, there were like a bit of rushed offense. Lou had a few moments where he was not handling the ball particularly well. He just decided to go old style Lou Dort, which, whatever. It's a game against the Charlotte Hornets. Have fun. Go and do your thing. But it, like in the modern NBA, when you have a team that is hot from three, which the Charlotte Hornets were, and it's the second game that they are, or maybe even more. I mean, they were surely very hot against Orlando.
Yeah.
Then as soon as the three ball starts flowing, like a 15-point lead, it's not really safe, especially if you don't have cushion. So I think that there was a moment in the third where OKC really stopped playing organized offense, and the Hornets made a lot of good shots. So, I mean, this is also a tale of the modern NBA where you really can't afford to have moments where you just stop playing basketball, especially again if you don't have your two best guys, which can give you some sort of cushion, even if you are not executing.
Yeah. Couple comments from the chat. One from Jordan P. It says, "Hey guys, first time here live, but wanted to say I love the pod. Y'all help me get through my shifts at work." Thank you, Jordan, for the comment. And then there's other comments about just the guys the Thunder let go and and specifically Hayward coming back. And Hayward has not been good. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat it at all. I think Michele is frozen. Hayward's not been good. You can't sugarcoat it. He's not been assertive. He's not had the scoring games that you thought that he might have. He's not been the guy that we would have hoped.
Yeah.
I get that. The truth is the guys that we traded weren't going to be playing playoff minutes for the most part. I mean, Charlotte's able to give Vasilij Micic a lot of minutes, and he looks pretty good. Like, he looked great yesterday, 17 and 10 last night in 31 minutes. He's not playing 31 minutes for the Thunder. He's maybe playing a handful of minutes, and not every single night. And so, like, we kind of have to let go of that one. Tre Mann wasn't going to play. Tre Mann would be playing during this stretch right now and might look pretty good. He was great last night. A perfect game, 7-7 from the field. I think that we have to also know that part of the trade also had to do with not just the players involved, but just the ability to have just crazy flexibility this summer. They're going to have 30 million in space. And I think that was just as much of the deal as getting Hayward the player.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been the huge benefit. And I would not say unplanned benefit, because it was clearly planned.
Definitely not unplanned.
But it's a benefit that if it doesn't come to fruition, then you still have many of the ingredients that make the trade useful for OKC. I mean, I was saying that to John on After Dark, I think on Sunday or Saturday, I don't remember, that if Gordon Hayward was a sure thing playoff rotation kind of guy, that is not the price that you pay. You pay that price because there is no true assurance that he would be useful in the playoffs for a good guy, for a good team, sorry. So, I mean, that was also always the deal. And I do think that there is maybe something to get from Hayward, maybe in some of the games. I think he would try to play at least a bit in the first round and see what comes out of it. It's not a sure thing that he's terrible. I mean, he probably will not play a lot. I mean, this version of Wiggins is clearly more useful. I mean, he was awesome. I mean, giving Giddey a little bit more burn, like 35 minutes kind of burn in the playoffs. If we see the way in which he's playing now, not a bad idea. But you can have a veteran that has been there. Maybe a game he starts feeling his three ball and he makes 3 threes in a game. I don't want to go overly excited. He already made 2 in 1. Maybe he makes 3 in 1 crucial game. Is it worth 2 second rounders and a bunch of guys? And also the fact that you will have maybe not a max cap space, but you can basically get any contract you want, aggregating a little bit of salary that you have. So it is what it is. I mean, am I happy, satisfied of how Hayward played? No, but that was just part of the deal.
Yeah, and for everybody that wants to like declare the Hayward experiment over, or one, we don't know how long he's going to be out with injury. Two, we got to stop saying those kinds of things. Like it's not like some like crazy experiment they're doing. It's a veteran wing that they have on the team, and if it works, they'll play him. If it doesn't work, they won't play him. This is the experiment that people are saying that is an experiment. It's not over. Like I'll just say that. Like it's not over. If he can come back and play this week, he'll play this week. And if he's injured, then he won't play. Like that. That's the injury will be the only thing that's keeping him out of playing. They still, this team is young. These guys have not had playoff pressure, playoff experience, anything like that. And just to have another guy that has, I think he's useful. Josh Giddey, 20, 13, and 13 last night. I thought Josh was pretty good. And, that he's really one of the only guys that can really create his own shot out there or create for others. And I thought he had a good night, a plus 15. He wasn't Poku's plus 27, but a plus 15 for Giddey in like extremely productive minutes was good to see.
The thing that I liked the most about Giddey yesterday was the fact that he was a maniac on the board. He was everywhere.
Yeah,
he was so engaged on that end. I mean, the assists, that if he touches enough basketball and he has enough avenues and minutes to get it done, he will probably get it done.
Mm-hmm.
The scoring is so much better as of late. It was not super duper efficient. He didn't try too many threes. But overall, I mean, the fact that he decided to get fouled in crucial moments of the game, that to me was, heck, I like this. I really trust him. Like I had, well, of course you can go 1 and 2. You can miss them both. Chet did earlier in the game, so anything can happen. But I really like the way in which he approached the game. So I mean, that is a good moment for Giddey, and the fact that he's starting to get good basket when he plays with Chet and Dub and Shea. That is the best news, because that starting unit in March is improving their production, which is exactly what you need and want. And this is Josh Giddey finding the basket, finding layups early in the clock, early in the game. That helps him being like hot and ready whenever he has, different kind of looks.
Yeah. It's eclipse time. So Michele is going to answer Twitter questions while I am going to go check out the eclipse outside. So I'll be right back.
Wow. So it's just me and you guys, whereas Andrew goes and sees the eclipse with maybe nice glasses, the black ones that are used in this moment. Anyways, let's start from good friend of the pod, Alex Bollerjack. What are some stats since All-Star break that surprised you the most? I think that I was talking about Giddey early scoring. I don't have numbers in front of me, but I do think that it's really something that you can look at and think, okay, this is something that is sustainable, because Giddey is getting good shots early in the game. And he's, the screening game, the fact that he's not on an island always trying to make threes or die trying. So this is, I think, the thing that I like the most. Something that is concerning is that Shea doesn't have the same plus minus after All-Star break. And another thing, it's that rebounding wise, OKC is not dead last anymore. They are getting at it much, much better. I really look forward to see if this is something that continues in the playoffs, because it's, again, those are just stats part of the game that seems really translatable to me. A little bit more fight on the rebounds, a little bit more easy early shots for Josh Giddey. These are stuff that I think OKC can really put into for OKC. They really put into place also in the postseason. From Colton Parker, this is a very nice question, which I really prepared for this. How often does G League Finals runs translate to NBA Finals runs? I would say all the time, Colton. This is 1-on-1. I have no idea. It's probably never ever, but who knows? One can dream. From Brad Dawson, Andrew, who is getting the Kentucky job? Probably not Mickey and not Andy. Wow, look, Andrew with glasses. I mean,
I can't see a thing right now.
These are just back?
The eclipse. That's just for the eclipse. No, I'm going to go back out in a second.
Okay.
So we're not in totality yet. My wife was
hollering. Who's getting the Kentucky job? Friend of the pod, Brad Dawson, is asking.
Oh, man. I really think Scott Drew is like a great candidate, like really great coach, good recruiter, all of that.
Nice. Oh. I have no idea what is happening in college basketball, and it's bad. Is it tonight?
Yeah, it's tonight. Yeah, there's no NBA games tonight, so yeah.
I figured. What do you think the next 12 months look like for Ooze specifically?
I was watching some of that G League game last night. The Blue are going to the finals, by the way. Yeah, Peak is
at a question. Do you think there is correlation between NBA finals and G League finals? I said yes, 100%. I don't know.
Totally. I mean, it happens every year, you know?
Yeah.
Nuggets, G League team, just crushing. No, I mean, it is Celtics Thunder in the finals. So
that can.
I mean, who knows? Yeah, it's. I mean, they play a fun brand of basketball. Oos was a very key contributor last night. He's playing well. I can't pretend to know what it will look like for him. He, however, is kind of a player that they need, that like a 6'8" or 6'10" forward. Like, yeah, heck yeah. Like that's something they don't have at all.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about how good Wiggins is and how good some of these other guys are, but like Wiggins is 6'5", Dort's 6'3", Cason Wallace is 6'3", Kenrich is 6'6", Isaiah Joe is 6'4". You know, like these guys are all great rotation players, but none of them have like the height that you'd want. Like the Thunder have big guards. They have like small forwards, and I'm not talking about the position. I'm talking about their size. And to have a forward the size of Oos that could play would be amazing. And he profiles as kind of like a Batum-like player who's not like necessarily like some aggressive player, but just more of a finesse guy that knows how to play, that can shoot it, you know, that can play defense. I still don't think it's impossible that he becomes a player like that, but it's just very much wait and see. I mean, he's played with the G League pretty much exclusively all season, which I think has been a good thing for him because he just needs to play. Like he just needs to play the game. And this gives him an opportunity, and he's playing in meaningful games. He's playing well in meaningful games. Also, Jamias Ramsey was probably the best player in the game last night. And so, like, what do you do with that? Because Jamias Ramsey is not quite an NBA guy. And part of that is the kind of player that he profiles as is a go-to scorer, and he's just not good enough to be a go-to scorer. Yeah. But Jang has been pretty good rebounder. He's been better at using his physicality, which has always been the question with him. And then now it's like, can he get the three ball to go down, which it has not in the G League this year.
Yeah, which is a little bit concerning because, I mean, the shot looks okay from a mechanical standpoint. It's not broken. It's not a terrible shot, but it's not a good shot either. And of course, if you have, I mean, I remember early in the season when Jang played in Cleveland, for example, he was crucial in that game because of the three ball and the fact that he was actually okay or good enough defensively.
Yeah.
And then he had that spurt where he just went into the game, turnover, went into the game, watched the layup and this kind of stuff. I mean, you really can't play with that low of an energy if you play 5 minutes in the NBA, which is part of what I will try to look for in what's going to be probably is summer league, third time, whatever. I think he's going to play there, and also in the preseason next year. Because I mean, if he's not ready by then I'm afraid it's another Poku story. Which again, you have to try, because a realized Pokuševski. I mean, the Pokuševski that we saw last night on a steady level will be a great Pokuševski for this team, a great player for this team. And so I mean, there is time. Jeng is super duper young. And I don't know how many of these guys find actual rotation minute in their first NBA stop. Maybe in their second or third. Sometimes it's just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think referencing his age too. I mean, he's 20 currently.
Yeah.
Which I think we've talked about on the show before. Like, he's younger than a lot of guys that are going to be in this draft that are going to go in the first round.
Yeah.
Like, younger by yeah. I mean, he turns 21 on May 21st.
Yeah.
I mean, he is so much older than a lot of guys that are going to be in the draft. So like, we can't overreact to it. It's just that we've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
And also, like, the team itself is like, you know what, like, he's not really ready to contribute at this level. And I think that's okay. But yeah, he's like less than a year older than Donovan Clingan. You know, Connect is 2 years older than him.
Yeah.
He and Filipowski are close to the same age. You know, Jared McCain out of Duke he's about a year older than McCain, a little bit less than that too. So I mean, what are we supposed to do with that? Bobby Clinton's older than him. You know, I mean, I think that we still need to have patience while also like taking into account like what's happened. And so you give him a summer, you give him a chance to kind of figure it out. And all he really has to be is a role player. You know, like, watch what Aaron Wiggins does. Like, Wiggins is if he could do what Wiggs does at that size, where it's like make open threes, cut, make smart passes, play hard on defense. Like, holy smokes, like, that's a very valuable player in this league. Yeah. And a guy that is not going to live up to where he was selected in the draft at 11, but just to be a useful player out of somebody who played in the G League all year, I think would be, I mean, that's a great outcome for him.
Yeah.
And we're still very, very, very far away from it, because, I mean, how many minutes has he played in the league this year? 342.
I was about to say like 52.
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like.
From good friend of the pod, Benathan King, who is the best post dunk flexor? Is it Ant? It's possibly Ant.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Ant's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in totality. I got to get out there.
Okay, let's go into dark mode, where Andrew goes, and it's going to be me. So that was from Jesse Smith. We go from and for the listener, Andrew just came into the scene with glasses, special eclipse glasses, which is amazing. I mean, wow. From Craig Milkowski, is Hayward finished in the rotation? No, I think that we discussed it on the pod. I don't think that is the case. Is he going to contribute in a high way or in a crucial way in the postseason? I would not bet on it. But, you know, what if it's just 2 games, but 2 crucial games? From Ben Vance, what is the bare minimum performance in the playoffs that will not be disappointed? Really fight against a great team in the first round. That is going to be not totally disappointing. If they win like 3 games in the first round of the playoffs instead of 4, I think that would be not totally disappointing. But, you know, you can also say winning the first round. I mean, if they win the first round, it's a success. So I think that is less than that is not to be disappointed. So I stick with 3 games in the first round. From John Grooms, we have 2 questions. If we secure a 3rd seed by Thursday, how likely do you think it's it is that most guys get rest for the last 2 games. I don't think that they want to rest for 20 days. That kills your conditioning. So I do think that they will get some burn, maybe not 35 minutes, but maybe 20, and maybe secure another 2 wins to maybe 2 wins to just to see, okay, maybe we can get to the 2 seed by just the sheer effect of the fact that some other team loses or they don't really care. I don't think it is a good idea to just stay out for 2 weeks. Your rhythm, it's going to be killed, which is, I think, why Shea played against New York. Second question from Josh Grooms. Beyond J. Will and Chad pairing, what are some lineups you think Mark may be holding for playoffs? It's not that they are holding J. Will and Chad. They're playing a lot. I think that we will see some lineups with maybe Giddy as the tallest player, like Dort, Kazan, Job, Shea, and Giddy. Something like that. Something extremely crazy where you have defense on the guards. Maybe against Dallas, you can think about a unit like that. Maybe not Dallas is not a good option because they always play with a rim running big, which can be tricky with that lineup. But I don't know. Sometimes that lineup could be, hey, we have 2 of the best defenders on the perimeter, and then we have like a lot of creators. Maybe that lineup with heck, Isaiah Joe or Kenrich Williams. Those are lineups that I think we will see in the playoffs. Next question from Poku and Chat's Bulking Cons. What players from the blue can realistically crack the Thunder's rotation in the future? Whenever I watch Keontae Johnson and Ouz, I really feel like they bring things we are missing. Sure, I think we discussed at length what Ouz can do. For Keontae, I mean, if he becomes like a real shooter with a bulky 6'5", I do think that he has a chance to crack maybe not crack the rotation constantly next year, but maybe being a little bit more. He was a good shooter in college, so that part of his game, I think it's there somewhere. If it comes to fruition, then great. From George Stoya III, what do you think Shea's order at Cava is? Thanks. I don't know what you eat at Cava, but I really hope it's a neat glass of Syrah or maybe some Cabernet with a nice steak. Like I would say, dry aged ribeye with whatever choices of sides you want. But in this order of importance, because Cava suggests like a place where you can drink some very good wine. Anyway, from Melvin at Marsman Melvin, Usman Jang, will he feel a need we have currently on the team next year? Yes. Will he? Not sure. From the better A Wiggins, do you think Hayward will get a significant playoff minutes to start, or is it possible that Mark will DNP him in game 1? Both are possible, depending. I don't know if it's going to be DNP if he's healthy. If he's healthy, he might get a burn at home against whoever, just to see how he approaches the postseason. Can he play 10, 15? Maybe. From In Chat We Trust, what will Coach Mark wear to the NBA award show? That is a nice question. I think a shirt with tall neck. I don't know how you call it. Black one. And some jeans. Something like that. Maybe a little bit like Steve Jobs style. Something like that. From 405 Thunder, do we regret the three-man trade with how disappointing Hayward has been? Maybe not even for play, but team chemistry. I don't think so. I do think the trade needed and deserved a change of scenery where it could be effective and could handle a lot of possessions to show, hey, I am an NBA player. With the Thunder, it was always going to be a secondary role, tertiary, I would say, like behind Isaiah Joe, behind Kizon Wallace. Sometimes you do it also for like the player. OKC respects the player path. They try to put him in a situation where they can showcase something. So no, I don't regret that trade. From 21 Jack, Do you know why OKC chooses to shoot on their bench's side in the first half, been recognizing it all year, but majority of their games they do the jump ball on the other side so they can shoot by their bench to start the game? I have no idea. Maybe because, I mean, is it handy to have Dagnall close by? Who knows? I have no idea. It's a very, very specific things to look for, 21 Jack. I'm mostly scared about that. From TKU Conan. I will be in Italy from April 21st to April 27th. How do you suggest I watch the games and avoid spoilers if possible? Additionally, would love to hear what restaurants in Milan you recommend. I think that TK whatever already DM'd me, but I am very lazy and I did not answer. So I have International League Pass, where you specifically had the option to remove the scores, so you will not be you don't have spoilers for restaurants. There is a place called Ribot, Ribot. I had a very, very nice dish of risotto with the great Fred Katz earlier this year. So I really suggest you to go there. It's a fantastic restaurant in Milan. So Ribot. Just mark that. It's a very nice restaurant. And here is the Eclipse Man back.
Hey,
too bad he's not wearing the glasses.
It's crazy out there. It's crazy out there. It's as if the sun is being covered by the moon, which it is, and it feels weird out there. All you can hear crickets chirping. It's very strange. Not as crazy as Idabel, Oklahoma. I'll tell you that. But it's something else. You got some more TQs for us to answer?
Let's see. Yeah, I have plenty. There are too many. Wow, there are too many. I don't know. Should we continue? I answered maybe 10.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's get to a couple more. From Ethan Nickel. It's never going to happen, but would you draft Bronny with the Rockets pick in this draft if you knew LeBron would join the Thunder?
Heck no.
Oh, come on.
LeBron's not. I mean,
no, if you knew, it's a certainty.
Yeah, I don't know that I want LeBron poisoning the minds of this Thunder team. Okay. If we believe right now, Michele,
I don't like serious Andrew, listen, steady-headed Andrew. I just want crazy Andrew for a moment. Just let's go crazy for a second. Can you imagine LeBron wearing number 35 for OKC? Couldn't just imagine for 5 seconds.
Listen, if we actually believe that this team has the ceiling of a contender, then why would we want LeBron to be here? Why would we want LeBron?
I know in the chat. I know that Andrew is right. I know that. Let's try to go crazy for a second. I mean, we don't have to be serious at all times. We can also dream about, can you imagine Shea throwing an alley-oop in the finals to LeBron James?
Yeah, and it's sailing right out of bounds because this team has no idea how to throw alley-oops.
Wah, wah, wah. Can you imagine Giddy, LeBron, Chet lineups?
I mean, it would be crazy. The Thunder are missing a 6'8" strong power forward.
There you go. This is talking.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you're just talking about just being able to add him to the team for nothing, I mean, great. But LeBron comes with a lot. I'll say that. LeBron comes with a whole heck of a lot. And there would definitely be part of me that'd be like, man, that would be amazing. It would be a roller coaster. It would honestly be an amazing thing for my career to have LeBron come and play for the Thunder. But ultimately, for the Thunder themselves, I would say, no way, Jose.
Okay.
No.
Sad answer. From Gus Johnson, there seems to be very clear incentive for journalists to say things that are very hot takey to get attention. This is strictly for you, Andrew. How
Uh-huh.
many of you have managed to avoid that? And has anyone ever asked you to take stronger stances on things you otherwise wouldn't have? Sure. I've been asked to have stronger takes about Italian food, but I resisted. Or French food. I resisted. I still think that French food is horrible and Italian food is great.
Oh man. I mean, I've not been asked to do anything. So I don't know. I just think like that is in my mind, I'm trying to like play the long game more than I am just trying to like grab some hot take, you know. And then like you have to like keep that bit going. And that would just not that would not, I mean, that's not my personality. Some people just kind of have that personality where they just like to have strong takes about things they don't really believe all the time. Like that's just not how I like operate. And so I think I could do it maybe a few times, but it would just be disingenuous, I guess. So
yeah, come on, you say that, but you are not true to your podcast. It's been just a few years now. It's how many years? 10 years? 8 years? 12 years?
2012, fall of
Wow.
2012, it'll be 12 years this fall.
That's
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Couple more. It seems Mark must recognize that other bench players are more effective. Will Gordon play at all in the playoffs? I mean, I discussed that a bit, but I wanted your take as well. I think that he will be put in the mix. I don't think that they will pine him for the good.
I don't think so either. I think he's gonna. Yeah, he'll get a chance. I mean, do we know for sure they're running shorter rotations in the playoffs? We haven't seen Mark as a playoff coach, and
Yeah.
my assumption is that they are they know some things that work, and they're going to go to those more often. Like the experimenting of like let's uncover every rock we can is not going to linger into the playoffs of like discovery stuff, which we've seen a lot of in the last week or so, where they've just been kind of throwing a lot of stuff at the wall with J-Dub and Shea out. I think he'll play some. Do I think he plays like a ton of minutes in the playoffs? No. Do I think he plays every game in the playoffs? No. Do I think that he plays? I mean, he's going to get a shot. I just have very little doubt about that he's going to have a shot in the playoffs. And he's played like I know that we just want to act like he's not played well at all in any spot. He has had some good games for the Thunder. It's just that it's the bad games are really bad. You know, the bad games are zeros across the board. And I get it. So I'm not willing to just go all the way and say like this guy's horrible, he's terrible. Yeah, he's had some bad games. He played bad against Milwaukee, bad against the Pelicans, was really bad against Boston. I get it. But he's going to have a chance because making 1 or 2 threes off the bench could swing a game. And he's somebody that can do that. He's shown the ability to do that. I know that people think he's just been absolutely atrocious. He shot like 50-something% from 3 in his time in OKC, which feels bizarre. 52% from 3.
Yeah, that's weird.
In his games with OKC. So he's actually made his threes. And like, what else would you want from him? He's not going to be like some
take more.
Yeah, he's only taken 1.1 per game. Yeah, take more is a good response.
We must answer this, otherwise sport fan will be mad at us. Percentage chance Zach Edey is a good pro. I mean, he's
a good pro.
He mentioned if it's Zubats as kind of comp.
He's got to be so much faster. Like he just has to like maybe he gets into the weight room in the NBA and he can kind of change his body to a degree and just get faster and stronger. If you can do that, then like sure, like he can be a backup big in the league. I don't know if he's ever as good as Zubats is, but I don't think we thought Zubats is going to be a starting level center in the draft
exactly
there either. So it's
Or
I'm not.
Hartenstein. I mean, I remember Hartenstein being okay, but not being
Yeah, yeah.
a
He's become great.
fantastic center. And you can carve out a role if you are good enough defensively.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not even necessary that you need to be a guy that plays different coverage compared to drop. He can just be strictly a drop player, and he's wide and long. So, I
Hmm.
mean, there is a difference in my mind on a guy like ED from a guy like Luca Garza that had no chance to
Hmm.
be a good rotation player. I think that ED is in a different ballpark. Can he
Hmm.
be in 5, 8, 9 years a guy that plays relevant minutes like Hartenstein and Zubats? Yes. The point is, what am I willing to pay to see that, knowing that these kind of guys are late in their I mean they become good in very specific situations and later in their career, like not necessarily on the rookie deal. I mean, then what is the value in a guy like that? So this is why I think that OKC will not draft a guy like ED. You can draft a guy like Klingman because I mean there are examples of great shot blockers, mobile centers, even without a shot, being a little bit more helpful early on in their career.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of them drafting either one of those players as much
Yeah,
as everybody's going to clamor for them to, just because they need size. And I won't say that they don't need size. I think that size does matter. Um, I do think that it's important that they get another big at some point. And like honestly, like Jay Will has had some really nice moments recently. And like, are we 100% sure that he's not the guy? I think is a question. Like we said, like with Zubats and with these guys, like it took them a while to figure it
yeah.
out. Jay Will's only in his second year. Like
And Jay
with
Will has true potential to shoot it.
yes, yeah, and he's willing to shoot it. He has potential to shoot it. I do think like I wouldn't be mad if they selected another big, but I just feel really skeptical about it. I feel really skeptical that they would do it. I mean, Jay Will was 2 of 4 from 3 yesterday, and he's able to pass the ball. He's like shown this ability to have like a mini hub. And so I just think that we need to look at the situation for what it is. I mean, they've had many chances to draft a lot of different bigs in these last few drafts. And I understand that like now they're good and they have a clear need there. And perhaps they get to the playoffs and it's like, yeah, they need somebody. But I still don't know that you're willing to use a lottery pick to take a player that you believe is more situational than anything else. I mean, look at like Zubats and Hartenstein were second round picks.
Yeah.
Both of them were. Like you're telling me that you can't find a guy in the second round. I mean, Jay Will is a second round pick. I just have a hard time believing that they would take a big like that in the first round. I think it is absolutely crazy that Donovan Clingan is thought of as a top 3 prospect in this draft. I think it is like beyond crazy. I mean, are we 100% sure that Donovan Clingan is a starting level big in the NBA? Like, are we 100% sure? Because you better be if you're going to take him third. You better be sure that he is going to be your starting center for the next decade. Like, are you sure that he is that?
Can you imagine?
I wouldn't make that bet. I would. I think I like Clingan. For the Thunder, he's fine because he's a backup. But holy smokes! I mean, he's getting top 3 buzz from ESPN.
Yeah, that's very high. Question to you: can you imagine Walker Kessler coming back to college? Like, how do we feel about a guy like this? He would block 8 shots per game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's Klingon is a returning player. So, there is a two very interesting questions that I want to get to before we go. One is from Lane Ball that basically says, what if the Thunder are how the Thunder compare to the Grizz? I mean, because they were the young team skyrocketing in the Western Conference, and then in 2 years they're gone. And he says maybe this is why. there are like a little bit of hesitancy in the national media to say to come on board because
I
they
would
were
love-
burned.
I would love to talk about this. I would absolutely love to talk about this.
Go. I knew that you love that, so that
Yeah, I would love to talk about this. So this is where team culture and having a cultural identity for your organization matters so much, because that is what was lacking in Memphis, was having organizational identity, direction that you want to steer your players in, understanding how you can help players personally instead of letting the star player drive everything that was happening. Now, you look back at everything that happened with Ja Morant. One, the Grizzlies organization has never had a superstar at the level of Ja Morant. Never. And so once they got him, they didn't really have any clue what to do. And they kind of let him be him. And what Ja Morant didn't need that. Ja Morant needed a strong culture to kind of corral him and to show him the way. Instead, the Grizzlies, it was an obvious disaster where he misses a majority of this, misses a huge chunk of time because of his behavior off the court. Now, that wouldn't happen with OKC. And had that not happened with Memphis, we're not talking about Memphis going away. This is in a problem at the organizational level for Memphis. And that's not a hot take. That is not something that I'm just saying off the cuff. I think that is like a pretty well-known fact that it was organizational incompetence at some level that led to Ja Morant doing what he did. And could they have stopped him 100%? I don't know. But I do know that things could have been different had they handled it differently with him. I can assure you that kind of stuff is not happening in OKC. Like the way that players are coached and treated and valued, and also just, Presti said it, the draft it was like the first draft of this rebuild. Like the people matter. Like the people absolutely matter.
Yeah.
And does it mean they're going to be perfect? No. Like we've seen with Josh Giddey, there's been some off the court stuff with him, but you can see how it was handled with the team and with Josh, and how everything has been handled since then. Like it's been able to be water under the bridge at this point. And I just think having and like the Thunder didn't crack when that happened either. Like things didn't go crazy for weeks because of it. And I think that's because of they have a steady organizational culture that has been built over the course of 15 years. And Memphis just doesn't have that. Memphis also had really good players on their team. And this is where like the Thunder have to, be a little bit careful. It's like they have Wiggins and they have Joe and they have Kenrich. They've already locked Kenrich up. Great. They locked Dort up. They need to get Isaiah Joe a contract this summer.
Yeah, we have a question from Jerry asking how realistic it is that the Thunder can keep both Wiggins and Joe.
I think it's absolutely realistic. Think about, because they have cap space from the Hayward deal, it becomes outrageously realistic to keep both of them.
And easy. It's not really hard. They can use cap space to extend them.
Yes. So it's very, very easy to do. And I think that they need to use Memphis as a cautionary tale, where they let guys like DeAnthony Melton, they traded Melton for a first-round pick because they thought, hey, we've done so good. We drafted Desmond Bane. Like, we can go get another Bane. And they screwed up the draft over and over again since they drafted Bane. And they got a little cocky and thought, we'll just trade Melton for a first and we'll get a cheaper version of Melton. Like, this will be easy. David Roddy, come on down. Now David Roddy's like a side act coming off the bench for the Suns.
They have to be extremely good at that in order for that to be a strategy. Denver was able to do it to a certain degree, but they risked that.
But they had those guys in hand already before they made the deal. They knew that letting Bruce Brown go, that what they had already. I mean, they were trading it for a mystery box. You never know what you're getting in the draft, even if you feel so certain about it. You just don't know. And that's why they had those guys in hand when Peyton Watson was already there. Christian Brown was already there. So I just think, and they did it with some other players, and none of them have really made an impact on the team, and maybe never will.
Yeah.
But having guys in hand that are young, that are good is important. But I just think not letting go of Isaiah Joe, I think, is really important. And then, I mean, Memphis also letting go of Kyle Anderson, So, I mean, they had a lot of guys that were there propping it up, but honestly, it all goes back to Ja and the way that Ja was handled from the beginning and through the difficult times that they've had with him. It all goes back to that, because even with those mistakes on the margins, you still have Ja, Bane, Triple J, and your team is really good. Like, that team would be in the playoffs if they were healthy. And like, part of it is that Ja was not healthy the rest of the season. And that is what it is. And that's not an organizational fault, but the rest of it was. The rest of it absolutely was.
Let's finish on a bright note. From Austin Wulschläger. I would love to hear a discussion on how Job has become such an elite three-point shooter. I don't think anyone would have called him a pure shooter before this year. So what has changed? Has he improved his form? Is he taking better shots? And do you think this is sustainable? Let me start with the fact that we have to remember that in college, J-Dub was a very good shooter, like a 40% kind of shooter. There were questions about how that would really translate because of the not exceptional free throw shooting. I remember it was in the from 75 to 80 kind of percentage.
He was 40% his junior year, 40% from three, 39.6%, and then 80% from the free throw line.
80%. So I remember like us discussing, hey, he has the potential to be a very good shooter. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that the thing that changed is something in the form. The form was good already. The point is, you have a year with that experience with the 3-point line in the NBA, which is not a given, especially for a player that has been in college for 3 years, so he's very used to that kind of distance from the rim, and it's also just improving. I mean, just improving as a player. J-Dub is taking. I don't think that he's taking better shots in general. He's taking tougher shots sometimes. It's just getting better. It's just getting close to his prime. And I think that the motion is so pure that I think that maybe 45, 43% is not sustainable. But I would be very, very disappointed if J-Dub is, or very, like, it will caught me off guard if somehow next year he shots 34%. I feel that he will be steadily a good enough, above average 3-point shooter. An elite one, I would not bet on that necessarily. That depends a lot on shot quality. But I'm sure that he can take more. And that is even more important than the percentage. I much rather prefer a player that takes 7 threes at a 38% than a player that takes 4 at a 42%. That for sure. I mean, it's because even if you are a good enough finisher at the rim, if you shoot 39, 38% and you take 7, that's elite efficiency. And you mold the defense to do stuff that are completely different against you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's also that, like, J-Dub puts so much pressure on the rim and so much pressure on the opponent with his ability to be like a full 3-level scorer. I just think he needs more shots in general, just period. Yeah. And that's the thing when you talk about like adding to this team and like what can they be and how do they get better and like let's trade for this or let's trade for that guy. It's like, what? Let's just like hold on a bit, because the thing is, and a guy that we haven't really talked about at all in this pod, unless you talked about it while I was out there checking out the eclipse, is Chet. And Chet Chet played pretty good in Charlotte and had like dominant moments against the Hornets. But this is Chet's rookie season. This is J-Dub's second season.
Do you remember how disappointed we were after J-Dub's well, not really disappointed. What do we noticed? That J-Dub was not great against the Pelicans nor against the T-Wolves in the postseason. And
yeah, it's true.
we're not even a year away. And this looks like a completely different player.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be that way, though.
Yeah, and he could disappoint in the playoffs again, and that doesn't. And I would still feel the same way I feel today. It's like, hey, like let's get this guy more opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we saw James Harden, and that was a little harbinger for what was going to happen with a lot of moments in his career. But he's not good in the finals.
Mhm.
You know, he just wasn't. And are we for sure? Like, do we know for sure? Like, who's going to be great in the playoffs? Like, we don't. Like, it moments grab guys in different ways. Like, we just don't know. And yeah, I'm trying to look at J-Dub's. Though they don't have it, the game log for the play-in game is not here in J-Dub's game log. Where is that?
I have no idea. I remember him being not super. I remember 5 out of 13 maybe against Mini, something like that. But I may confuse it with Shea in the bubble, which was also sort of disappointing because he was just averaging 15 points.
Yeah. Shea last year had his face smashed in against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, but I mean,
okay, keep talking.
Chad has been sensational at times. I remember that before All-Star break, there was like a tiny little bit of a sentiment that had him being a little bit more consistent, he could have been an All-Star this year. So, I mean, we are talking about the guy that has the potential to be the number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever guy on a team.
Mm-hmm.
He's already here, and he just needs to. He's making a point of playing all the games. I would venture that maybe him playing 72 games leads to a better chat overall. But he wants to do that, and so does Kazan. So it's fine. It's good that they are playing this way. But next year will be different. And if these teams sticks together mentally, whatever happens in the playoffs, they will have next year, provided they are healthy enough, an opportunity to be a sensational team. A team that knows what to do, knows what it takes to win 50 plus games. It sounds crazy that they are 53 and we are like 53. Can you imagine like someone calling? Because I was very optimistic, but I felt like 48 was a sensational season.
I know.
And we are at 53. I mean, winning like it's just, and they have still games to play.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, looking at the play-in from last year, I found it. You can sort for it at season type for last year on NBA.com. So Shea was 39% from the field, 33% from 3, and 100% from the free throw line. He's 20 of 20 from the free throw line in the play-in. That's pretty impressive. Then Dort, I think Giddey had the next most, or no, Dort was second in points per game in those 2 games at 22 points. He shot 50% from the field, 50% from 3, 80% from the line.
Yeah.
Giddey is next at 18 points, and he was 37% from the field, 27% from 3. It was not great against Minnesota. J-Dub is next at 14, 4, and 3. And he shot 37, 30, 75 shooting splits.
Yeah, not great, Bob.
Not great. And then Wiggins missed all of his threes. Isaiah Joe was 25% from 3. Dario Saric, that was 3 points per game. I mean, they played great against the Pelicans, but really struggled against Minnesota. And so, like, we just don't know. Like if you were to like list out like, oh, who's going to be the top 3 scorers, in the play-in, I don't think anybody would have had Dort at 22 points per game in those 2 games. Like we just frankly don't know. And a lot of it will depend on matchup. I mean, if we look at the standings today and like the matchups, I mean, I think it would be Phoenix currently. Which, that's not an easy opponent. I mean, there's not an easy opponent in the Western Conference playoffs. There's just not. But yeah, Phoenix would be it right now, and they're tied with New Orleans as we speak. New Orleans won last night. That was a big game, and so like I think the only thing that you're rooting for right now is like just don't have Dallas fall. I think everybody else will be fine, whoever it is. The Lakers lost last night, put them back to 9th.
Dallas has such a huge variance. Like they can go very high, very high.
Oh, yeah, they're 9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be probably New Orleans or Phoenix, and I think the Thunder, as long as they're healthy, which is like another point. It was like, yeah, they sat these guys for a majority of this road trip because they want to be 100% healthy for the playoffs, and I think that's great. Do it. Because if you got to the playoffs and you won 58 games and like you feel like, yeah, the vibes are good, but it's like, but Shea just hadn't looked right. Shea hadn't looked quite right.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel good about that. If Shea plays in like, 2 of these last 4 games or whatever, and he looks like, oh gosh, there he is. You're going to be so glad that he rested on this trip.
Yeah.
You're going to be so, so glad. Shout out to George Stoya in the TQs asking me what I thought SGA's order was at Cava the other day. George sent me a message that he saw Shea in town, and this was before the report. And I had so much going on at the time that he was messaging me. I felt bad that I didn't have time to like further investigate what was going on. And then like it wasn't that long after that the news dropped that they sent him home. But George, shout out to George. Has a podcast. You guys, many of you probably know George and Eddie Radosevich, who have their unofficial 40 pod about OU. It's very good. You should go check it out if you're an OU fan. But anyways,
what do you eat? What do you eat at Cava, by the way?
I have not been to Cava, so I don't.
Do you know what they serve there? What their specialty is? Because I ventured that Cava sounds like a place where you can get a good steak and good wine. Is that the case?
Oh no! This is like healthy bowls.
Oh no! Why nobody mocked me in the chat when I said wine and steak? Because Cava in Spanish stands for like if you have like a cava, it's a sparkling wine.
Oh, really? Interesting. No, I mean there's like hummus and like pita and bowls.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe baba ganoush then.
Falafel.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay. Shout out to the eclipse, which is now done. We're back to real life again. Shout out to everybody for the questions. I appreciate you bringing those because I was talking to my wife about it, and she was like, "Hey, like during the pod, the eclipse is going to be happening, so you're going to have to like figure out what you're going to do. Are you going to end it soon?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. It's a fun part of the season, and Michele is good at just answering questions solo. So let's just let's make a segment out of it." So
except if you talk about a Greek restaurant weirdly named Kava, then I'm terribly bad at it.
Shout out to Shea. Shout out to Shea for enjoying Kava. Shout out to George for being there and probably just being just absolutely shocked to see SGA as a Thunder on this road trip. Oh man. So I know that you probably need to go, but I just wanted to mention that the Thunder are officially getting a lottery pick from the Rockets. And
that's why Sportfan 405 was so excited about Edie, probably.
Okay. And that's why they get 12. Who's your favorite at 12 currently?
Let me see. Um, hmm. So Thankaton has Ron Holland at 12, which I looked at, and I'm not in love with him.
He's not
I
much of a
think that,
I would say.
yeah, I mean, I'm afraid that he will never ever shoot it. So
Yeah.
I think that guys like Matas Buzelis and Cody Williams will be there. Which, I mean, especially Buzelis, it's kind of a guy that is not discussed enough. I know that the G League was a mess, but he's a 6'11 guy
Mm-hmm.
with a knack for blocking shots, with a decent enough free throw percentage, which it's not awesome. I mean, 70%, it's not great, but for a 6'11 small forward that can handle a bit and get rebounds, I'm kind of into that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's another Usman Jang like experience, but he's
Mm-hmm.
6'11. It seems like a little bit more versatile than Usman is. Maybe it's just wishful thinking from my part.
Yeah.
But I would try again. I mean, Poku, Uz, there's no three without the two or two without three, whatever.
If you connect on any of those guys, then like you've done something great. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and the point is always the same. I mean, can they be decent enough 3-point shooters where you can have them on the court? I mean, Pokushevsky last night was, so maybe who knows? But I would like to do a focus on Buzelis because it seems like a guy that it's not discussed enough, and I
Yeah.
think he would fit OKC to a T. I know that everybody wants like a little bit more of a bulky four, which I mean I'm not against it. Um, but if you can get like a tall, decent enough shooter that can have a little bit of decision making and ball handling and passing, that sounds like a player that OKC can play.
Yeah.
He's a better rebounder than Cody Williams, which is
Yeah.
the thing that gives me a little bit of a pause on Cody.
Yeah.
And of course, there is Kyle Filipowski there, but I think that Buzelis is a little bit more of a guy that you can play in almost 3 roles, maybe 4 roles for OKC. Like he's a tall wing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm a Filipowski guy, but I would be all about swinging for the fences at this spot and just like
Yeah.
going if Cody's there or Buzelis is there. And I'm not a huge Ron Holland guy, but he would also be like a swing for the fences. It's like you've got a lot of good players. If you could get a player that's like, oh my gosh, like Ron Holland is like figured out his shot, and now like he's coming off the bench for the Thunder, like, and he's pretty good passer, great defender, good rebounder for his size, like great, like good hands. I mean, I think that there's a world where you can kind of swing for the fences on somebody that you think can play a little bit now. So, yeah, I'm interested to keep digging into the draft. If you want to listen to Michele and I talk more about the draft, go to patreon.com/OKC Dream Team and subscribe to the Dream Team Draft Show tier, where you can hear us break down a lot of NBA prospects. And we specifically talk about them through the lens of the Thunder, which is different than most draft shows. So please go check that out. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys enjoyed the eclipse if you were anywhere near it. And we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.